Tracy Bond has replaced me, and I'm sitting in my old office, her new office, while we have this meeting. She's met Chuck, Gabe, Denise. I will be bringing her around to meet everyone else at another time, soon.
Pete, how long have you been in this position?
Who, me?
Yes.
8 years in this position, 12 years with the organization in one way or another.
I just want to congratulate you on a fantastic job. I mean, the commitment and the passion you've shown in your role has just been remarkable.
Well, thanks, Chuck, but my passion is upsets a lot of people sometimes.
Might have ticked a few off along the way, but you did a lot of good.
I think we did. I think we've helped a lot of people.
Yeah. That's true of so many of the organizations that we work with. So very much appreciative. So we're going to try to get through this meeting in 30 minutes. We have the AHAC starting at 9:30, although we can start that meeting later. So we're not going to rush this to an end. Couple of things we'll need to go over. So I think we're ready to get going.
Begin? All right, then I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Today's meeting of the Neighborhood and Affordable Housing Advisory Board is called to order on October 13th, 2020. Welcome, everyone. The agendas for today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance to council chambers. For those present in chambers, please remember to turn off your cell phones. The agenda for today's meeting is also posted online at myclearwater.com. Due to COVID-19 and related social distancing requirements, this meeting is being held remotely. Pursuant to Executive Order number 20-69, issued by the Office of Governor Ron DeSantis on March 20th, 2020, municipalities may conduct meetings of their governing boards without having a quorum of its members present physically or at any specific location, and utilizing communications media technology such as telephonic or video conferencing as provided by section 120.54(5) Florida statutes. The members of the board appearing remotely for this meeting are myself, Chairperson Pete Scalia, Board Member Linda Kemp, Board Member Kevin Chenault, Board Member Camille Hepting. Is that everybody?
I believe so.
I don't see anybody else on the screen. So did I get it?
Yep, I believe so. Is that we didn't miss anybody, correct?
Okay. The city has established the following 4 options to ensure public comment for virtual meetings. One is e-comments via Granicus. E-comments is integrated with the published meeting agenda. Individuals may review the agenda item.
Like your screenshot. Very good.
If everybody could please mute.
Can you hear me?
If you could please mute if you're not communicating. Thank you. Go ahead, Pete.
Okay. Individuals may review the agenda item details and indicate their position on the item. Comments received during the meeting will become part of the official record if posted prior to the closing of public comment. The city clerk will read received comments into the record. Email. Individuals may submit written comments or videos to nahab@myclearwater.com. All comments received by 5 p.m. the day before the meeting, October 12th, will become part of the official record. The city clerk will read received comments into the record. 3, call-in number. During the meetings, individuals will be able to call in to 727-562-4646 and be placed on air to speak to an individual item. Council chambers. Additionally, like any other NAHAB meeting, the public may provide public comment during the meeting in person at the main library, Council Chambers, 100 North Osceola Avenue. To ensure a complete record of the board's actions, we ask that each individual wishing to speak clearly state your name and spell your last name for the clerk. I will ask the board members to introduce themselves and the fields each of you represent. I will begin by introducing myself I am Pete Scalia, the board chair. I represent low-income people. Board Member Kemp,
Linda Kemp, mortgage banking.
Board Member Chenault,
Evan Chenault, representing the nonprofit industry.
and Board Member Hepting.
Good morning, Camille Hepting. I represent the employers within the city of Clearwater.
Item number 2 is the approval of minutes. And our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of the board's July 14th, 2020 meeting. May I have a motion of approval?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
do any board members wish to discuss this item? If not, I will ask the board to vote on this item. Due to board members participating remotely, I will ask you for your vote of this item individually by roll call. When I call your name, please tell the board whether you approve or oppose this item. Board Member Kemp,
Approved.
Board Member Chenault,
Approve.
Board Member Hepting.
I approve.
I vote to approve. The minutes are approved. Item number 3, citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. I will now ask if there are any members of the public wishing to speak to items not on today's agenda. We have multiple ways for the public to present comments, so I'll need to ask staff at various locations if there is anyone from the public wishing to speak. Mr. Lane, is there anyone in council chambers wishing to speak to an item not on today's agenda?
No, sir.
Are there any public comments from electronic communication or people calling in?
There are no calls. Ms. Sullivan, any emails?
No emails.
Seeing no one else coming forward, we will move on to the next item. Item 4.1, recommend council approval of a loan in the amount of $880,000 to SP Clearwater Wfhlc using Home Investment Partnership Program funding for the development of property at 306 South Washington Avenue and authorize appropriate officials to execute documents required to effect closing. Mr. Lane will present this item.
So this item was presented to the CRA board yesterday. The city council, of course, sits on the CRA board. It was also presented at the council work session. It's a development proposal for a workforce housing project on CRA-owned land located at 306 South Washington Avenue. Project calls for 171 units. 104 of the units will be reserved for households at 120% of area median income and below. 49 units will be reserved at 100% of AMI and below, and 18 units at 80% of AMI and below. The total development cost is $38.5 million. All right, trying to share a screen here. So what you see on the screen, you can all see that, I assume?
Yes.
Yes.
So what this proposal is, they're maxing out the density for the site, which is something that we called for. And when the max density for this site is 50 units an acre. When you do 50 units an acre, you need to do structured parking. And that really, that's what made this difficult, because when you bring structured parking into play, you really shift the financial outlay of the project. It's a much more difficult project to achieve. So that's really the basis for some of the subsidies that this developer is seeking. So you can see the project it's bordered on the west by South MLK Ave, on the east by South Washington, and on the south by Gould. You can see the north end of the site, you have a combination of surface parking and structured parking. And you can see the development layout. There's two significant green space areas, which is a really cool concept into this project. It's a 4-story structure. Really something special for downtown Clearwater. We're really looking forward to this. It's kind of a unique site. The grade change on the site shifts from, there's a 15-foot elevation change from the southeast to the northwest corner of the site, which makes for some challenges. The design they've kind of incorporated, which you can't really see, is kind of plateaus in the design. They've really put a lot of effort into the due diligence of this project. And it's really an exciting project for us. It'll put a lot of people on the ground in downtown. It'll help business. The public, the parking garage will be available to the public, which hopefully will encourage developers, commercial developers to come in, create business in downtown and not really have that burden of creating parking for their site, for their business, because public parking will exist. So this is an exciting thing for downtown. See some of those photos. That's your standard, really your 1-bedroom layout, 2-bedroom layout, although it'll vary a little bit. It's really going to be a terrific looking project for downtown. All right. The developer seeking funding from multiple sources. Among them is a request for Home Investment Partnership Program funding. This funding source, as you know, is made available to the city through the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. The proposal is to provide an interest-free loan on the property in the amount of $880,000. The developer will pay back $200,000 of this loan over 20 years. The remaining $680,000 will be deferred over the affordability period. Home requires an affordability period for this type of investment of 20 years. The developer, after the 20 years, that deferred amount will be forgiven. Staff has reviewed the projected revenues and expenses for the apartment complex, and we've determined that this is an appropriate arrangement, an appropriate investment. This type of investment is also consistent with home guidelines and regulations. So using home funds on a project like this will require us to put a land use restriction agreement on the property, and that will require that 11 units are leased to households at or below 80% of area median income. It's important to note they are proposing 18 units at 80% AMI and below. Reason we're going to do 11 is because when you exceed 11 units in home with new construction, you trigger Davis-Bacon requirements, which is the prevailing wage requirements. We have no reason to believe the developer won't meet those prevailing wages. What we're doing by limiting it to 11 units is we're avoiding that administrative burden of all the Davis-Bacon requirements, the prevailing wage requirements. There is quite an administrative burden. It can actually even drive up costs of construction a little bit. Every year, HUD establishes maximum high and low home rental rates. With this agreement, 9 of the units will be at the high home rate, which is $791 per month for a 1-bedroom and $1,007 per month for a 2-bedroom. The units, 2 units will be rented at the low home rate, which is $660 for a 1-bedroom and $838 for a 2-bedroom. And HUD does adjust these rates annually. So very exciting project. Be happy to take any questions at this time.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Camille.
Chuck, this is a really exciting project and it's amazing to see it happen so close to downtown. Do we have any idea for a completion date at this point if everything goes through?
I don't have that in front of me. So the developer has applied for county funding under the Penny program. We should learn that very soon. I believe construction, Denise, I don't know if you remember these details. I think, I don't want to say because I can't remember. It's better than a year construction. And I think construction would begin probably sometime towards the end of next year through all the permitting. So we're probably about 2 years away now from that being available. You know what, I will get the timeline and I'll email it to the board separately. So you all have it. That's a great question. I apologize for not having that readily available.
That's okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else on the council who has a question?
Chuck, I have a question. Is this a developer that we have worked with before and has a relationship with the city?
Yes, I failed to mention that. I'm sorry. SP Clearwater, Wfhlc is a single purpose LLC, but it's Peter Leach is a developer behind it. We've done a lot of work with Peter. We've done Country Club Townhomes, which is a home ownership project. They completed Garden Trail. They completed Woodlawn Trail. They really understand our guidelines, our architectural requirements, our process. whenever they have a project, it always goes through very comfortably and as expected. So yeah, we do have a great history with these folks, and we're excited to work with them. Thank you for that question.
Anyone else on the council? Mr. Lane, is there anyone in council chambers wishing to speak to this item?
No, sir.
Are there any public comments from electronic communication or people calling in?
No calls. Ms. Sullivan, any emails?
No emails.
Then may I have a motion to approve?
I'll move for approval.
A second?
I'll second.
I will now ask the board individually to vote on this item. Board Member Kemp,
Approve.
Board Member Chenault,
I approve.
Board Member Hepting,
I approve.
and I approve as well. The motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is to recommend City Council approval of the second substantial amendment to the City of Clearwater's 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan to relocate existing funding and to budget for additional funding provided by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development to address needs resulting from the COVID-19 emergency. Mr. Lane will present this item.
We will be receiving an additional $858,968 of community development block grant funding to address impacts caused by COVID-19. HUD requires us to amend our annual action plan in order to budget and ultimately use these funds. This is our second allocation of Cdbg COVID funds. Earlier this year, Council and this board approved our first amendment to accept the first allocation, which was $492,592. That's $492,592. We're also receiving, I'll talk about it later on in the director's report. We're also receiving additional CARES funding through the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. And we'll use those funds as well. I'll talk about that in a moment. These funds, the Cdbg funds, are a little bit more flexible than the funds provided through the state. Although the income limit is a little bit lower, the funds through the state are at 120% of AMI and below. These funds, Cdbg is typical, is 80% of AMI and below. So we can use these funds for housing expenses, but we can also use it for other purposes. HUD's wording is the funds shall be used to prepare for, respond to, and recover from the COVID-19 crisis. So what we found through our experience in communicating with other local governments and nonprofits is that the most effective and direct way that we're able to help people through this crisis is to assist with housing expenses. And for that reason, the majority of available Cdbg COVID money will be applied to the rent, mortgage, and utilities assistance program. We also are budgeting $154,000 to help nonprofits that can deliver public services to help people through the crisis. We're also able to use 20% of the funds for administration. The amendment also cleans up a couple of things from the First Amendment. You may remember the First Amendment, we budgeted the lion's share of that money to our business-to-business program to help businesses that were going out of business because of COVID. HUD guidance following, we get guidance from HUD when we get a special allocation like this. That guidance came out late. And what it did is we were really already up and running, and it kind of moved the goalpost on us. And it made it difficult for us to use these funds on the business program. So what we're doing is we're reprogramming any unused funds from the first allocation to the rent, mortgage, and utilities assistance program. We also budgeted $300,000 in home funds under the First Amendment for an emergency rental assistance program. With these additional funds that are available for the rent assistance program, mortgage assistance, and utility assistance, we think the program's sufficiently funded. So we're going to reprogram that home funding back to housing projects as it was originally intended, originally budgeted. We did open up our rent, mortgage, and utility assistance program several weeks ago. We opened it up with the allocation of the state funds that I'll talk about in a little bit. And we opened that program up for 2, maybe 3 weeks, and we had I think we had over 300 people begin applications. Very quickly, with that level, we feared that the financial ask would exceed the funding available. So we closed down the application intake, and we spent the last few weeks processing those applications and getting that funding out the door. With these funds now becoming available, we will reopen that application on Monday, the 19th. And we expect, again, to have a windfall of folks coming through, especially with the eviction moratorium expiring. We expect there's a lot of people out there that will be able to help. So I will, at this time, I'll take well, first of all, I would like to mention the staffing level it takes to run this rental program. We've actually paused our home rehab program because of the intensity of this work. We may be looking to have other staff in the city assist us. We certainly would entertain a nonprofit or organization helping us review and process applications. So we're open to all comers that may be able to assist us through this. But it's going to be a pretty heavy sprint for the next few months to get through this program and to get these funds out the door, helping people where they need to go. So with that, I'll take questions.
Chuck, I have a quick question. So just to make sure that we can direct people to the right place when that assistant program reopens, would it all be on the city's website, myclearwater.com?
Yes, there is Kara is on the line. Kara, please correct me if I mispronounce this. There's a vanity website. It is myclearwater.com/RMU assistance. Kara, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. myclearwater.com/RMU assistance. That will take people directly to the landing page for this program. And on that page, there will be a link for people to apply. There will also be contact information for staff should anybody have any questions or difficulty with the application. Thank you.
And you said it will open on Monday. Do you have an idea of the time?
Probably midday. We'll get in and we'll make sure everything's running right, and we'll check
Chuck?
with the software program.
9 a.m. 9 a.m. is when it's supposed to open.
Okay, 9 a.m. There it is.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Chuck, could you repeat that website one more time, please?
myclearwater.com/RMU, RMU for rent, mortgage, and utilities, RMUassistance.com.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, myclearwater.com, myclearwater/RMU assistance. Kara, one more time. I'm getting confused here.
Sure, easy for you to say.
Exactly.
myclearwater.com/RMU assistance.
Thank you.
If I may also add, you can simply go to myclearwater.com. At the top of the web page is a COVID-19 tab, and that will take you to all of our COVID-19 resources, and this program will be available from that landing page as well. You can link to it.
We have any other questions?
Anybody? I'm sorry. Are there any public comments or electronic communication of people calling in? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. That concludes the scheduled business for today's meeting. I will now ask board members individually if they have any additional comments. This may include any old or new business, as well as general comments for the public, the board, and for staff.
I think we need public comment on the item and then the vote on the item.
You know what? I'm sorry. I apologize for that. May I have a motion to approve the item?
I'll make a motion.
A second? Was there a second? I'll ask the board to individually vote on the item. Board Member Kemp?
I approve.
Board Member Chenault?
I approve.
Board Member Hepting?
I approve.
And I also approve. The motion carries unanimously. That concludes the scheduled business for today's meeting. I will now ask board members individually if they have any additional comments. This may include any old or new business, as well as general comments for the public, the board, and for staff. Board Member Kemp?
No comments.
Board Member Chenault?
No comments. Thank you.
And Board Member Hepting?
I do have a question as far as an update from the last meeting we had. At our July meeting, there was a gentleman from the I don't remember the name of the tower that's on Chestnut.
Prospect.
That is Prospect Towers. Thank you, Chuck. That we had a conversation about how some of the tenants in there were being basically asked to leave after their lease was over. And I know we had a conversation on it. So I just wanted to follow up and see if there was any further conversation that happened or further assistance or anything that was done in that regard.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into that. We set up a task force, just to remind the board. Prospect Towers is a 208 unit apartment complex in downtown. It's a 17, 18 story tower. It's always been an affordable housing complex for seniors. It's been bought by an investor. All that they're going to invest money into the building. They're going to raise the rents, and it's all going to change. It's not going to be that safe haven for seniors anymore. So we have many senior households in there that folks they don't have an answer. They're not able to pay the increased rent. So we actually put a task force together, including several nonprofits, to try to navigate through and figure out answers for these people. So ultimately what's happened is Directions for Living stepped up and they're going to be a case manager. They're actually going to sit in the building. They're going to have a person sit in the building, be a case manager. So direct communication with these tenants. I attended recently a board meeting for the community service, Pinellas Community Foundation. Pinellas Community Foundation is taking on the funding and the responsibilities of the senior citizen services organization. And so I went to that board and asked if they could help. And what they've done is they've offered to pay the funding for Directions for Living, $16,500 for that case manager. That's a full-time case manager for 3 months. They've also agreed to, I believe, an additional $30,000 to be used.
3 months, $16,000.
So, for relocation expenses, stuff like that. So we are set up with Directions for Living being the lead on this to navigate through and help people. And I really think that I think we're in an excellent place. I think they're the right organization to run it. It'll be kind of a hub and spoke system. They'll be the centerpiece. There'll be folks that may be better served by other organizations, and they'll refer them to them. For example, veterans in the building will likely be referred to the Veterans Administration. Another victory I think we've had with Prospect Towers is I received a determination from our HUD rep that we can use COVID funds to help these people. And I didn't expect that determination because this issue was not caused by the pandemic. But the way I presented it to our HUD rep is what we are on now. This is a homeless prevention project among a demographic of people that are at increased risk to serious illness if they catch the virus. And because this is a homeless prevention effort in the midst of a pandemic, they gave us a determination that we could use these funds. So we are working with Directions pretty closely on that. So I'm pretty pleased with where we've come, although, we're not out of the woods yet. There are still a lot of scared people in that tower that need assistance. Thank you for that.
That's great. I appreciate the update.
Okay, terrific.
Can I just chime in here and thank city staff for everything they did? I did serve on that task force also, and a lot of work went into that. And city staff did very well at pulling everybody together and pulled the right players together to get some action done very quickly. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Mr. Lane, do you have any additional comments for the board?
Just real quickly, talk about the other funding that we're getting from the CARES Act through the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. That was, I don't even have that number in front of me. It was a second round. It was $500, I think, and $85,000. We're going to use that money specifically towards our rent, mortgage, and utilities assistance program. Again, we're going to start that on Monday. So we'll roll through that. We'll roll through that funding. We have to move that money out by December 30th. Now, when we move to the Cdbg money, there's actually different requirements. So we're going to have to probably pause the program for a short time, adjust our application, and then restart the program so we can move the Cdbg money out the door. Again, all of the CRF funding through the state is going towards the rental program. So I want to talk a little bit about, let's see. We talked about Prospect Towers. Dolphin Tower is, I remember last year we talked about a 9% tax credit project to be built at our former location of Fire Station 45. Property is now owned by the Community Redevelopment Agency. So last year they went through the tax credit application process and did not get the credits. But our contract to sell the property to them included an option for an additional year, so they could make an attempt at an additional tax credit cycle. So we picked up that option. The CRA has picked up that option. And now Blue Sky is about ready to submit another application. So hopefully we'll have better luck this year. We do anticipate anywhere from 1 to 3 other applications in the county. Only 1 will be accepted. So, cross your fingers on that. It's what they proposed, I thought, was a fantastic project, and it included an investment of home money as well as CRA money. And lastly, I just want to talk quickly about our North Greenwood CRA. We talked with council yesterday at the work session. We'll be seeking approval on Wednesday night for council to take the first step in creating a CRA, Community Redevelopment Area, Community Redevelopment Agency in the North Greenwood neighborhood. We've worked very closely with the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition in creating this. I think it's a great opportunity to utilize tax increment financing to help this neighborhood. They view this as a non-traditional CRA. And really what that means is that they're looking to invest more in people rather than infrastructure and brick and mortar. There will be a brick and mortar component, but they want to incorporate things such as job training, some social service programs. They want to do a lot with rehab. It's really an effort to really provide direct assistance to people rather than the infrastructure of the neighborhood. So I think it's a really good opportunity. Denise has been very heavily involved in it as well. Did you want to make any comment on that, Denise?
Thank you, Chuck. No, other than to say that actually Chuck has led most of the staff effort here, but it has been a project that has included involvement, heavy involvement out of the city manager's office, city attorney, parks, planning and development, of course, our current CRA office, and numerous others. So it's been an all hands on deck. It's a very tight time frame, but our hopes are that we'll complete the entire process and have a CRA around end of May of 2021.
I think the most compelling part of the entire thing is it really truly is a community-led initiative. And the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition is a coalition. They're bringing as many people into the fold as they can. Oftentimes in our neighborhoods, there are a lot of, in North Greenwood too, there's a lot of leaders in North Greenwood, but they tend to be siloed and sometimes really unknowingly siloed. And to see this coalition really come together on a widespread basis throughout the community, I think it's really exciting. So more to come on that.
Now that I got it in my head.
Pete, that concludes my comments.
Okay.
Pete,
I'm sorry.
If you don't mind, I'd like to take this opportunity to go back to Camille's question regarding 306 South Washington Avenue, regarding the construction schedule. While Chuck you all have been involved in this meeting today, I had the opportunity to pull up the RFP response from the developer and have found the schedule. So if I could, it is hoped, as Chuck said, July of 2021 that will go under construction. Building 1 occupancy is projected to begin September of 2022, completion in December of 2022, and what is effectively full occupancy by June 21 of 2023. So hopefully that helps you out, Camille.
Okay. And just one last comment from me. As this meeting is adjourned, you all please hang in there and stay on the line. We're going to use the same platform for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee meeting. So do not go away.
Chuck, can I ask a quick question about that CRA, the North Greenwood CRA?
Yes, please.
So if that is approved would it be completely separate from the downtown CRA, or would it be the same department, or how would that work?
It's a new CRA. It is not the same CRA. How we manage it, we have.
You know what a CRA is, right?
It may be something that our
Community
CRA department takes on and manages, but we haven't gotten to that point yet, making that decision.
We sit in this
separate
downtown CRA. That's why there's funds available.
If there are no more comments for the board, our next NAHAB meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 11th at 9 a.m. I'd like to remind
I think
board members to remain on the Zoom call. Momentarily, we will begin the meeting of the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.